What, according to the passage, does the question of existence mean? The question of existence is a reference from the first paragraph here. We read these two statements and we'd find out what this is about. Let's read from the beginning. That just adds one statement to the reference. The real basis of the problem of knowledge is that the requirement of ontology and epistemology pull in different directions. We seem to have a fundamental ontological belief, the question of existence above, that real things exist independently of each other. This is the key reference, that real things exist independently of each other. They can come into existence and pass out of existence, and this can occur without affecting other things insofar as they exist. So clearly, the idea is whether things exist independently of each other, or is this existent interdependent on other things? Let's look at the options. Option A says, the tangibility or lack of knowledge as known to men. Now, we do have the mention of the problem of knowledge mentioned here, but it is not, first, it is not talking about tangibility. Knowledge being tangible, something that you can touch and feel. Are we talking about knowledge at all here? The key reference, as we have seen, is the independence of existence of things, whether they can exist without affecting each other. It's not about the tangibility of knowledge. Tangibility as an aspect has not been mentioned here at all. And knowledge as known to men is very vague. Moreover, this does not talk about the independent existence of things or otherwise, the opposite of that. So the independence of existence altogether, that has not been mentioned. The question is about the question of existence. So it has to relate to existence after all. So A is irrelevant. It is partially outside the premise. We can eliminate it. Option B says the existence or lack of interdependence in existentialism. Now, the aspect of existentialism might be a little confusing here, but we'll weigh this against the other options. We see that this is much better than option A, because it talks about interdependence, which is not only there in the passage, it is not outside the premise, it is also the key aspect that we were looking for, the question of existence, that real things exist independently of each other. They can come into existence and pass out of existence without affecting other things insofar as they exist. So the existence or the lack of, whether there is or there isn't, interdependence in existentialism. Existentialism, there is a definition towards that. The definition of existentialism is the existence of individuals, individual people, individual things as free and responsible for their own development. So that is something that we don't see here. But let's assume that we don't know what exactly what existentialism means. Even then, we can still see that it is something to do with existence and independence in existence, whether things exist independently or interdependently. That is the question that is being answered here. The question need not be answered. That is not what our question is about. The question is about, what does this phrase, the question of existence, mean? And this means exactly this, the debate on whether there is interdependence in existence or do things exist independently of each other. So this is definitely a relevant answer, a valid answer. We can qualify B. Option C tells us the confidence or lack thereof we have on reliability of knowledge. Now, the kind of the same reference, kind of the same aspect as the first option, option A, the same reference, reliability of knowledge. We do have the mention of the problem of knowledge, but the problem of knowledge has nothing to do with confidence or the lack of confidence that we have on knowledge. One, this talks about the problem of knowledge, which is not about confidence. It is about the difference between the ontological and epistemological perspective. The problem of knowledge is that the requirements of ontology and epistemology pull in different directions. So the perspective of ontology and epistemology on knowledge is contradictory to each other. That is the key aspect. So this is first off outside the premise. The aspect of confidence is outside the premise. Second, we also know that the interdependence or independence of the existence of things, that is the key aspect. That is what the question is looking for in the answer. So this is also completely irrelevant to the premise of the question, that is. So C is incorrect. We can compare this with option B, and we find that B is definitely superior because it is much more directly connected and it addresses the question, it answers the question. So C is eliminated. Option D says the coming and going out of existence of substance. Very close, because we have a direct reference to this here, but yet again, it is not the existence of things. It is rather the independence in existence or the interdependence of existence of things. Things can come into existence and pass out of existence, and this can occur without affecting other things insofar as they exist. So it is not the question whether things can exist or cannot exist. It is rather whether things that exist are independent of each other or are they interdependent. So this, again, very close, a direct reference in the passage, but it is irrelevant because it doesn't answer the question. It doesn't address the question altogether. So D can be eliminated. The correct answer is option B.